Fertilizers are one of the most expensive ingredients for any farmer to yield from his garden. But this problem has been solved by Professor Byaruhanga Peter Cilestini, Director, Innovations Center of Agroecology, Best Management Innovations in Wobulenzi, Luweero district, through establishment of a demonstration hub where he makes fermented organic manure from fruits. The manure is both liquid and solid and is applied through microbial feeding stations. Professor Byaruhanga, who has done this research for the last 26 years, says he does not regret as his garden, seated on 3 acres, now yields more than ever before since he started applying fermented manure from fruits. That's microclimate balance.
The safe concentration of carbon dioxide in the air is 350, but currently it is 431. That is why you see so many challenges. Crops don't have enough nutrients from the soil. Some countries are in unprecedented severe drought and extreme heat. Now, my research here is to address those challenges by returning the conditions as they were, the environmental conditions as they were pre-industrial revolution period. I found out that pre-industrial revolution period, the conditions in the soil and conditions in the air were balanced. And this is called crop microclimate. The conditions in the crop canopy and the root zone were balanced, were the same. I found out that there is a fungus called mycorrhiza fungus, which lives on all plants and crops. The crops and that fungus are interconnected and interdependent. Crops cannot get anything from the soil without the intervention of that mycorrhiza fungus. And the fungus cannot get anything from the air without the intervention of plants or crops.
Professor Byaruhanga compares his research to a coffee plant that healed itself from coffee wilt disease as reported by many farmers in Wobulenzi, Luweero district.
Farmers showed me a coffee tree that had recovered from coffee wilt by, for them they didn't know why the coffee tree had recovered. So when I was trying to find out what was happening, because there is nowhere else the coffee tree was getting nutrients, I found out that there was a latrine next to some meters away from the latrine, and the latrine was old. It had been abandoned, so the coffee tree was getting nutrients. It was getting all its critical needs from the latrine. Now what I do, I have made an innovation to represent the old latrine. I made what I have called microbial feeding stations. Have got the same conditions as in the latrine. When crops or plants manufacture primary metabolites from the leaves, those products go down to feed the root-based mycorrhiza. So even this, the fertilizer which I made it to feed the mycorrhiza fungus, not the plant. And because I'm doing the right thing, my jackfruits are yielding so heavily. This jackfruit has got about 150 fruits, but people who have not taken any measure to return and retain carbon into the soil and retain it there, they are not producing as much jackfruit as me. But only me who has been addressing the crop microclimate balance is I'm producing a lot of food. The way I am fertilizing the soil is not the way that others are fertilizing the soil.
Professor Byaruhanga's solution includes the fermented fruit fertilizers made from jackfruit and avocado, activated biochar and microbial feeding station.
Yeah, this section, I call it the brewing section because this is where I remove the hard materials which cannot ferment very fast. So at the beginning, I said, like me, I've taken long to know how to make the fermented fruit fertilizer. But I'm still, sometimes I find I've got a lot of, I don't have enough space, so I have to bring the unfermented materials to ferment during the brewing. But here is the section where I separate the hard materials and the seeds with the liquid. But all fruits can make fertilizer, even including the seeds, but they ferment at different rates. By the way, I found out that in order to restore the conditions as they were pre-industrial period, you have got to adopt innovations that can harvest carbon dioxide from the air, return carbon in the soil. So that process, I'm using what they call biochar, charcoal dust. Yes, you can see I've collected a lot of firewood around from my farm. To prepare them, to burn them into charcoal dust. I first burn into charcoal, and then I pound the charcoal into small ingredients, and then some people don't know exactly why biochar. Why should I use biochar in my garden? I was telling you, currently there is more heat in the air than it was pre-industrial revolution period. Biochar absorbs a lot of water, and that water helps biochar to regulate soil temperatures. Then what you should do is to mulch. Mulch, in my case, I mulch only the microbial feeding station, not the whole garden. Because the whole garden, if you apply biochar and apply mulch, it's very expensive. But mulching only where the microbes feed from is very simple because it doesn't require a lot of inputs. That activated biochar should be recharged regularly. Me, because the fertilizer which I'm using to on the jackfruits to produce so much. I am very, I'm very generous to my fruit trees because I give them enough of what they need. And in the future, I'm requesting farmers who have got barren fruit trees to come and study how to make a fertilizer that is appropriate for feeding fruit trees. My fertilizer is made from jackfruits, and some are made from avocados, and some are produced from bananas. But jackfruits are easy to make a lot of fertilizers. The most important thing is to let the fruits ferment completely, except what the seeds. Then from there, you don't need to suffer removing the parts which have not broken down. Fermented fruit fertilizer, it is full of microbes. Currently, I'm producing two types of fertilizers. One which is liquid and the other one which is solid, semi-solid. Because I don't want to dry the fertilizer because you will kill the microbes which in actual fact work with the soil-based mycorrhiza fungus. This fermented fruit fertilizer can be applied on any crop. So that's why you can see my crops everywhere are very, they look good. And I feed them quite regularly. Every 2 weeks I feed. Every 2 weeks I feed. At the beginning it was not as much as of now. This is the highest production I have realized. When I was doing my research, I found out that pre-industrial revolution period, there were no chronic diseases. Why? Because during that period, crops had a lot of nutrients, particularly the vitamins, antibiotics, antioxidants, and all that. But currently, most of our crops don't have enough nutrients. So I'm trying, from the seeds, we are in the process of making immune boosters. You dry the seeds, you take the special meals, and then you package them. It doesn't need special treatment, only drying. So to produce a lot of seeds that are complete, you separate the seeds from the fresh as fast as possible.
He came up with the formula after realizing that his crop yields had reduced.
My children who are living in Kampala, they used to come for fruits. Then when this crisis started, the jackfruits were no longer productive, so they were not coming for fruit. You know, like the jackfruit is referred to as the neglected, underutilized tropical fruits. You know why they are neglected? They don't produce at once. And our colonial masters were looking for crops where they could use machinery. But the jackfruit, you can't use machinery because, like this one, I have harvested 3 times now. But they are small fruits young fruits which are coming up. And I have to keep feeding the jackfruits so that the young fruits can also, can also enlarge, mature. But these colonial masters, these tell us that when you see small fruits and others have matured, you remove the small fruits. When I see so many big fruits, I know the branches can easily break. So I harvest all the biggest fruits and leave the rest to grow.
Trees are vital to the planet, acting as natural air filters, stabilizing soil to prevent erosion, providing habitat for biodiversity, and regulating the water cycle, as Professor Byaruhanga explains.
All of us, we have got what they call critical needs. Critical needs include water, include air, include optimal temperatures, include nutrients. So these plants, they regulate the environmental conditions here. You can, in fact, you can feel how cool my demonstration is, because all these plants are producing are recycling carbon, are recycling water, are recycling nutrients. So every time I have got water going around. So me, even if it is shining, it's a dry season, this place does not dry up because of the plants I have selected and planted. Most of the plants, if you do research, you find they are medicinal. Like this Tithonia, it can cure malaria AIDS. This is the Tithonia, and this is the Tephrosia. That Tephrosia can, if you have got a fish pond, you crush the leaves and put them there, and the fish will get paralyzed and come up. Tephrosia, muruku. If you have got a septic wound which has refused to heal, you can use the leaves, you pound them, and put them on the wound. The wound will heal. I've been getting this information when I'm training farmers. They tell me, oh, that one is doing this. But most of them, they are whole mycorrhizal plants fix a lot of carbon in the soil. And they can also dissolve phosphorus from rocks. So they have been promoted, especially by the organic fraternity. My advice to farmers who are aiming at producing organic products, they should come and study how to make a fermented fruit fertilizer.
As observed above, fermented fruit fertilizers are nutrient-rich liquid organic fertilizers. This cost-effective method takes about 1 month and produces beneficial microbes that stimulate soil life, improve plant immunity, and boost fruit and flower development.